Pandharpur Wari. Pandharpur Wari, or Wari pronounced Vari, is an annual pilgrimage yatra to the town of Pandharpur in the Indian state of Maharashtra to honor the deity of Hindu god Vitthal. The wari involves carrying the paduka, a type of wooden slippers or footprints of a Sant in Marathi, in a palkhi, most notably of Sant Dnyaneshwar and Sant Tukaram, from their respective shrines to Pandharpur. Thousands of warkaris or pilgrims join this procession on foot. Warkari is a Marathi term which means one who performs the wari or one who venerates the Vithoba. The tradition is more than 700 to 800 years old. Marches on foot from various locations in Maharashtra to Vithoba Temple, Pandharpur, attract over 1 million pilgrims. The journey takes 21 days. Numerous palakhis join the main Tukaram and Dnyaneshwar palakhis along the way. Two specific pilgrimages honor the two most revered palakhis, starting from their towns located in Pune district of Maharashtra. Sant Dnyaneshwar's palakhi leaves from the town of Alandi, while Sant Tukaram's begins at Dehu. The wari culminates at the Vithoba Temple on the holy occasion of Ashadhi Ekadashi. Devotees from all over Maharashtra and nearby areas set out for Pandharpur, wearing holy basil beads and singing the glories of Vithoba and songs like Gyanba Tukaram, commemorating the saint. Upon reaching Pandharpur on Ashadhi Ekadashi, these devotees take a holy dip in the sacred Chandrabhaga River/Bhima River before proceeding to visit the Vitthal Temple. History. Beginnings. Various views exists on the origins of the wari Marathi, indeed Persia vaaree or vaaree. According to one theory, Vitthal, the father of the Warkari Sant Dnyaneshwar, began the wari to visit Pandharpur in the Hindu months of Ashadhi and Kartik. The tradition of performing a wari is generally regarded to have existed for more than 800 years. Another theory credits Sant Dnyaneshwar 13th century and Sant Tukaram 17th century to have started the pilgrimage. They used to perform journey to Pandharpur by foot for 15 days, reaching Pandharpur's Vithoba Temple on Ashadhi Ekadashi. The tradition of carrying the paduka sandals of the saints was started by the youngest son of Tukaram, Narayan Maharaj, in 1685. British era. Changes were brought to the pilgrimage in the 1820s by descendants of Tukaram and a devotee of Dnyaneshwar named Yatra Baba Arfalkar, who was a courtier of Sindhis, the Maratha rulers of Gwalior. Yatra Baba is credited with the organization of the wari in use today. This involved carrying the paduka in a palkhi, having horses involved in the procession, and organizing the devotees or warkaris in dindis. Dindi stands for a specific group of warkaris. Wari in present times. The warkaris, whose patron deity is Vithoba, undertake the annual pilgrimage wari to Pandharpur, reaching there on a day before Ashadhi Ekadashi, the 11th lunar day Ekadashi of the bright fortnight Shukla Paksha of the Hindu month of Ashadha, June-July. Pilgrims carry palanquins of the saints from the places of their respective Samiti shrine. Dindi organization. The concept of dindi, or troops of Warkari devotees, was introduced by Yatra Baba in early 1800s. Formation of dindi brought order to the processions and have remained an essential part of the wari. Each dindi is headed by a man or a woman. Some religious institutions and temples also have their own dindi. Accommodation, meals and other facilities to warkaris are provided through their respective dindi. Managing members of a dindi usually travel ahead of their dindi, had to make arrangements for food and shelter at their next place of halt. All registered dindis are numbered and assigned their place in the procession. Some walk in front of the palkhi carriage and others behind the carriage. During their march, flag and banner-carrying members are at the front of the troop. The drummer of the dindi is at the center of the dindi. Along with the dindi palakhi procession, selfless service seva is performed for the poor and needy, like Amrit Kalash Anadana, or donation of food, Narayan Seva, medical help, and building or repairing of rural infrastructure is done. This is known as Seva Dindi. From the last 2 years, a concept of Niramal Wari has also started to keep all villages clean during the procession of Wari. It is believed that participation in Ashadhi Dindi and Seva Dindi helps an individual in many ways by bringing good health, peace, and prosperity in their life. Chanting the continuous glory of the god in the Ashadhi Dindi procession and Seva Dindi purifies an individual. An inner cleansing is said to take place in mind, body, and spirit where the participants lose their individual identities and experience bliss. It develops all aspects of human personality and helps some to understand the true purpose of life. The event is said to be one of the world's largest and oldest movement where people gather on a specific day every year and walk for a distance of around 250 km. Pandharpur's Ashadhi Ekadashi Wari journey has been honored by World Book of Records, London, under the title one of the most visited places in a day. Yatra Routes. Whereas are performed are two main routes, the Dehu Pandharpur route for the Tukaram palkhi and the Alandi Pandharpur route for the Dnyaneshwar palkhi. Route of Tukaram palkhi. The pilgrims start the main pilgrimage from the town of Dehu on foot, carrying the palkhi of Sant Tukaram, who is a renowned devotee of Lord Vitthal, an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. It is known as Sant Tukaram's palkhi procession. It starts from Dehu and reaches Pandharpur via the towns of Warkari, Loni Kalpur, Yavat Varvend, Varamati in Dapur Aklaj and Warkari respectively. Dehu Pandharpur Palkhi Schedule 2019. Route of Dnyaneshwar Palkhi. The pilgrims start from the town of Alandi in Pune district on foot, carrying the palkhi of Sant Dnyaneshwar and reaches Pandharpur via the cities of Pune. Both the main palkhis meet at Pune, then at Warkari, and then meet once again before reaching Pandharpur. Besides these, two more waris in the Hindu months of Chaitra, or spring 1st lunar month, and Maghi 11th month of the Hindu lunar calendar Ekadashis are also deemed to be important. The latter two are particularly attended by devotees from neighboring state of Karnataka. Alandi Pandharpur Palkhi Schedule. Wari Management. The Dnyaneshwar Palkhi is managed by the descendants of Habitreyabu Arfalkar, who started the palkhi in modern times, the hereditary chapters, and Alandi Devastan Trust. The whole procession is divided into subgroups called dindi. Most dindis are registered with the palkhi organizers. There are more than 200 dindi on each route. Each dindi has between 100 and 500 members. The palkhi is at the center of the Wari procession, which means usually around half the number of dindis are ahead of the palkhi while the other half follow behind. All registered dindis are assigned their number and position in the procession, and the sequence is strictly followed. The assigned numbers are mentioned ahead of each dindi. There are many unregistered dindis of devotees also, who walk well ahead or behind the official Wari procession. The timetable of Wari route is published well in advance and is strictly followed. It is well defined and minute details are made available, including starting location and the location of breaks, including lunch, rest, and night stays. Every morning at early dawn, after worshipping the saint's footwear, the palkhi sets out at 6 am for the next stretch of the route. A tutari wind instrument is blown thrice to alert all warkaris. At the first signal, all warkaris get ready to leave. At the second signal, the dindis stand in the queue as per designated sequence, and at the third signal, they starts walking. After 4 to 5 km, they take a quick break for breakfast. They also take break for lunch as per the given schedule. Every dindi has one truck or a similar vehicle where the luggage and food is kept. This is used at the night stay location every day. The warkaris only carry tel instruments, a bhang book for chanting praises of the Lord and emergency materials during the procession. Walk management ensures that the tents are set up and the food is prepared before the respective dindi arrives at the location. The dindis also decide the sequence in which the abhang has to be sung. Most of the dindi members know all the abhang praises by heart, but the newcomers carry a small book while walking. At any point of time, only one abhang is sung by all. A Warkari who adorns the garland of Tulsi is called as Malkari. Mal or Mala means garland in Marathi and Hindi. The person who carries veen in the entire journey is called the venakari. These persons have a special status in the Dindi, and home management is driven by them. Any dispute during travel between the Dindis is resolved by them at the night's stay location. From last few years, the addition of doctors to the procession have improved the medical facilities in the wari. The doctors do take care of the members who suffer injury or become weak during travel due to extensive walking. A few professional doctors close the city participate by devoting their 21 days to the wari and take care of the Dindi people every year. The stay arrangements of each Dindi are well defined and planned at every location. Most of the Dindis make stay arrangements in the temples available in the village or in the tents. Economic impact. The Ashadhi Wari has tremendous economic impact on the town of Pandharpur. This is the period when demand for equipment and items associated with worship of Lord Vitthal is very high. An estimated 1 million pilgrims, either varkaris traveling with the palkhi or independent travelers, travel to Pandharpur each year, who also need accommodation that is provided by the permanent mathas and temporary lodging houses. The period also sees demand for temporary restaurants and groceries such as milk and rice because a number of devotees cook their own food. Public health issues. Since the Wari attracts so many people on the way to Pandharpur going through many localities, public health measures have been implemented since the early British colonial period. These included compulsory vaccinations for diseases such as cholera and plague, segregation of the infected, restrictions on mobility, etc. According to Manjari Kamat, the colonial administrators had other motivations such as generating revenue by collecting pilgrim tax or maintaining law and order for implementing public health measures. The colonial government's public health measures in the early part of the 20th century included attaching medical staff to different palkhis, removing infected persons, modifying wells for drinking water, digging trenches, providing bins for waste collection, employing sanitary staff, etc. The requirement to be vaccinated against cholera and typhoid in order to join a Dindi has continued in the present times. In 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Wari was severely curtailed with only 50 Warkaris joining the march to Pandharpur. The sandals paduka of the saints were either driven to or flown to Pandharpur for Ashadhi Ekadashi on July 1, 2020.